Greetings, monsters of all ages.
Hi everybody, this is Nick Izumi.
And this is Rena Innocenti.
And with Godzilla 2014 about to open this coming weekend, we thought that we'd share some of our thoughts on Godzilla as we're both big fans.
I know, shock of shocks, right?
So we decided we're going to share our top 5 favorite Godzilla movies from each of us. And we're also going to give, I guess it's kind of a lie, it's not just top 5, we're going to give a runner-up each.
Yeah, because we both have one that absolutely needed some sort of attention, because we love more than 5 each, and
there's so many good Godzilla movies. There's a lot of bad ones, too.
There are more bad ones than there are good ones. Give credit where credit is due.
I only think we're thinking that because we watched so many 90s Godzilla movies recently.
I know.
It was not a good time for the franchise.
No.
Well, do you want to get started?
Yeah, so runner-up.
You want my runner-up?
Yeah.
Okay, my runner-up for this little list is going to be a little movie called Ghidorah, the Three-Headed Monster. And that was not intended to be a Godzilla movie, it was supposed to be an introducing Ghidorah movie. But it's a fun little movie, it crosses over, you've got Ghidorah in it, you've got Godzilla of course, but you also have Mothra and Rodan. And it's a very light-hearted movie, and I feel it set the tone for a lot of the fun Godzilla movies that would follow, and for that reason it's one of my favorites. It's really funny, it's really entertaining, and you get a lot of, you get all the monster fight you paid for. It's really fun.
And my runner-up was actually Godzilla 2000.
Good pick.
I really liked that movie, but it wasn't good enough to be considered one of my favorites, per se.
It's really good, but the final battle kind of drags at the end. I agree with you there.
It took too long in quite a lot. The pacing was just not good in that movie, but I really did like the Godzilla design, and I really did like everything else that was going on. It just didn't pace itself correctly to be a good movie to me. It's
another one that carried in the fun Godzilla movie tradition, that's for sure. And it was much needed after Godzilla 98.
Oh, yes. And with that, my number 5.
Ooh.
I find it really funny that you put Ghidorah Three-Headed Monster as your runner-up, because that's my number 5.
Okay.
So, I thought that it was so funny. And I don't know what it is about that movie. I love that while Rodan is probably the funniest thing ever, that Ghidorah is actually very menacing.
Yeah, Ghidorah seems like he's a real threat, that they need all 3 kaiju to come in and fight him. Even though it is a funny movie, he still does seem like he's gonna kick their butts.
And I honestly love that Mothra had to be like the mother and be like, hey, you dumb children, you have to behave and work together, otherwise no breakfast, no dessert for you.
And then Ghidorah zaps Godzilla in the nads.
Many times. So does Rodan. I don't think Godzilla's forgiven him yet.
Oh dear. Alright, well, with that, it's up to my number 5, and mine is the Godzilla vs. Mothra from 1992. And we just said we don't really like the 90s Godzilla movies that much.
But this is a difference here. This is the good one.
The cinematography is really good. It introduces Batra, who's a really cool-looking monster, and just the scene of the Infant Island twins summoning Mothra is really beautiful, and I really love that scene. I think it's a really entertaining movie. With that, that's my thoughts on Mothra, on versus Mothra. What would you say is your number? Oh, well, I guess, what would you say your number 4 is?
My number 4 is actually Godzilla vs. Mothra, the 92 movie.
Okay, well...
There's a good reason here. Well, pacing-wise, it isn't better than some of the other ones, but story-wise and monster-wise, it was very touching and heartfelt for me. And again, that scene with the Infant Island girls just really captivated me, and it was beautiful, and I can't stop thinking about that one scene.
It had a really good story, which not many of the 90s Godzilla movies can say. I also think Mothra just looks really good in that one. She's furry.
She's furry and adorable.
And then Batra, both Batra as the larva and Batra as the big monster just looks really badass.
Batra's really intimidating, and I really do like Batra, even though watching the dub really probably hurt our interpretation of Batra.
Probably. We
need we need the subtitled version.
We'll need to pick up that re-release that has it on there. I'm glad we watched that one, though. Move on to my number...
Your number 4. My
number 4 is... It's funny, like, people are gonna think I just have terrible taste in these Godzilla movies.
And I'm ashamed in you.
From Mystery Science Theater, my number 4 is Godzilla vs. Megalon.
Tail sliding galore.
Most people rate this among the worst Godzilla movies ever made, which is understandable because it is cheesy, it is dumb, the story doesn't make sense, day switches to night between shots with no explanation, stock footage is used up the wazoo. All that said, this movie is so entertaining to me, and I think it's so funny. It was intended more for little kids, so you have Jet Jaguar, who's this obvious Ultraman knockoff, and you have Godzilla's suit is in terrible shape, the costume is falling apart, the titular villain Megalon looks like garbage. Gigan also, who comes back in this one, he looks not that great, and the shots where he does look great are stock footage from his previous movie. All that said, it's so funny. Like, it's just a really funny movie. There's this scene where Gigan and Megalon, like, set Godzilla and Jet Jaguar on fire, and they think they've won, and they start, like, clapping their claws together. Like Rena mentioned, they used it in the Mystery Science Theater opening. Godzilla sliding on his tail for a kick. It's so funny. And, it was the second Godzilla movie I ever saw, and I will never stop laughing at it, so I can't help but like it.
You know, on the opposite side of funny, what's your number 3?
Oh wow, so... my number 3 Godzilla movie is not funny at all, and this is, hopefully, this will inspire people to believe that I have better taste. It's Mothra vs. Godzilla from 1964. I love Mothra vs. Godzilla. After King Kong vs. Godzilla, they wanted to have more of these, epic monster fight movies that had really solid stories. Mothra vs. Godzilla has a good story, it has good pacing, you get an opening sequence with the Infant Island girls that's really charming, and the special effects are great, and it's just a really, really good movie. I treasure that movie, and I'll always enjoy it. And speaking of another really good, serious Godzilla movie, what's your number 3, Rena?
GMK. Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah.
Ooh.
My buddy Baragon's in it. I have a Baragon toy. I got him for $1. I was so excited because I nearly flipped out. I was in Nebraska when I got him. I adore that movie, and there is no good reason to dislike that movie. I believe that all the monsters were used very effectively, while the human plot device was kind of dumb, which is actually why it's rated lower on the scale for me.
Okay.
The very last plot device was just dumb.
Okay, I know what you're talking about now.
I really do adore that movie, and again, Baragon. I love Baragon.
I recall the special effects being really good.
They are really good in that movie.
Like, everything looks really good.
You know what? Speaking of really good special effects, our number 2 is the same.
This is like the only one we're the same on this entire list.
And I know it's going to disappoint other people that it's
not
number
our number
2
1. Yeah.
instead of a number 1, but, Gojira.
Yeah, Gojira, aka
the original.
Godzilla 54, the original movie.
And you have to watch it in the Japanese for it to carry the same effect.
Yeah, God, the American edit, Godzilla King of the Monsters, is not the same movie. It's still an entertaining movie, but
Raymond Burr just kind of takes things away from it. You put on that version and I just zoned out. It wasn't gripping at all.
I think the problem with the Raymond Burr cut is that because you introduce this American character who's watching it as an outsider, you're experiencing the events on screen as an outsider rather than feeling like you're one of the people in Tokyo having Godzilla come down upon you, which is part of what makes that movie work. The human element in the original Godzilla is so good. Like,
so perfect.
I love all the human characters in that movie. I actually, really care about their struggle, and I worry about them. It's a scary movie. Most of these movies, I can't say that for, but this movie will haunt me forever.
And I think that's an important thing. But I think that haunting factor is also why it's at number 2, because it doesn't make us feel good at the end of the day.
It's a pretty upsetting movie.
It's like watching Metropolis. You love it, but it doesn't make you feel good.
The black and white was used really well.
Oh, goodness, was it used perfectly. And there were a lot of things that hadn't been done before, too. It was very groundbreaking.
They hadn't really figured out the art of suit acting yet before making that movie. The poor
buckets and buckets of sweat.
Pouring out of Godzilla. Oh, gross.
Oh, watch the making of features if you ever get a hold of something that has them. It's absolutely fantastic to just sit down and watch what people went through to make that movie.
And that's just the stuff that we only own the classic media release.
We don't have the Criterion, and we really want the Criterion release.
I bet the Criterion release has even more interesting stuff. I've heard the commentary track is good. But I guess that's a little off topic. That was I love the original Godzilla. But you're thinking, alright, so if you guys put that at number 2, what's your number 1?
You remember our number 3s? Yeah, flip those.
So my number 1 is, as Rena mentioned before, Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah.
I was saving things good to say about it for Nick to say about it, because I'm nice like that.
I love you. I love the Shinto god element and reinterpreting the monsters more as deities rather than just as these monstrosities.
The gatekeepers.
Mothra, Baragon, and Ghidorah are the gatekeepers of Japan. They're these holy kami that defend the nation, and then you have them up against Godzilla, who is this collection of angry souls from World War II.
Which is another good use of, honestly, the similar premise to the 54.
It's more spiritual than science fiction in this one, but yeah, it's the same theme.
Of war begets terror and fear.
Another one that it has similar to 54 is that I actually cared about the humans in this one.
Yeah, that was weird that we actually cared.
Because some of these movies, the unfortunate thing is that in the really bad Godzilla movies are the ones where they spend lots of time with human characters who you never connect with, and you're just waiting for the monster fight to start. And this is one where I really liked
just waiting for the monster fight to start, and then you end up being completely disappointed because they end up making out, Biollante.
But the girl, I loved the girl in GMK. She was really an interesting...
She was cute, and she has
an arc. She's
a character arc.
Yeah, she has a full... And her father also has a really interesting character arc, and seeing the two of them be brought together by this crisis is really well done. Godzilla... After all those times I praised him for being more fun in the other movies, it was cool to see Godzilla be threatening again. He's really scary in that movie, and it's so worth your time to pick that Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah up.
And Baragon is still really adorable.
Baragon's great.
He didn't make it into the title because he's not famous.
That's sad. I like Baragon. So with that, what's your number 1, Rena?
My number 1 is Mothra vs. Godzilla.
1964.
You know, I really like Mothra, just based on the fact that she is a very, very strong mother figure. if you notice that about anything that I like, it's that if it's got some weird-ass strong mom in it, it's probably one of my favorites. But the difference here is that even if you've seen it before, like I very likely have, that you know that the egg is a Mothra larvae. But there's a lot of suspense, and there's characters that you actually kind of care about, and this interesting plot development of the egg is an attraction to these people, like it might be related to Godzilla.
I liked that, and I don't remember what their actual name is, so sorry for the fans who would know this better, but the two twins from Infant Island who summon Mothra, I like that they weren't just a plot device in this movie, like, they actually kind of had peril of their own to deal with.
They did, and it was great. They were being sold, they were trying to be pawned off as...
They were being exploited, yeah.
They were being exploited, and it was kind of terrible. And it's a lot more about the human condition than I think a lot of people realize Mothra vs. Godzilla is.
And the final fight is really satisfying.
I liked the fight in the middle. The fight in the middle with Final Form Mothra vs. Godzilla was pretty great. But even when Mothra laid down her life for her two larvae, that I actually started crying. And then to see her children fight and win against Godzilla, this impossible to beat monster, was just fascinating for me. And yes, it was the first Godzilla movie that I've seen during a rewatch, so I might be a little colored by that, but I've loved Mothra since I was a kid. But I can also back that up by saying I've loved King Ghidorah since I was a kid. And I don't remember what movies I watched when I was a kid, but Mothra vs. Godzilla will always be my number one.
Well, those are our favorite Godzilla movies, and we're looking forward to Godzilla 2014. Can't wait to talk to you guys about that soon, which you know we will.
Because we might have to update our top 5.
Yeah, who knows?
The way it's sounding, we might have to update our top 5.
If it's good enough, we will change it. If I can't wait.
We might have to knock things off of our runner-up.
Oh dear. Even that's feasible. Anything's better than Godzilla.
Anything's
98.
Possible. Anything's better than Godzilla 98.
Anything's better than Godzilla.
Biolante's better than Godzilla 98.
Oh, wow. I don't... Oh, maybe... Yeah, but Space Godzilla...
Space Godzilla.
Space Godzilla is abysmal.
Okay, Space Godzilla is not better than 98.
Well, those are some of our favorites and some of our least favorites. Feel free to share your favorite Godzilla movie in the comments below. Thanks for watching, guys.
It's been great!
And keep on spocking in the free world.